Hello everybody, welcome to St. Olaves homework booklet number 2 walkthrough. We're starting off with the English comprehension section, and we have a passage which is about a girl called Caroline Robbins who's starting a first day at school. She might be returning to the school, it might be the first, we don't know. However, actually she has friends here, so we know that she's been at the school before, and she's basically choosing the best seat to sit at, and she's trying to weigh, do I want to be with the cool kids, do I want to be with the smart kids? So that is essentially what the text is about. Question number 1, using the passage as a guide, we can understand that Caroline would be seated in front of Zach in some classes because why? What clues? It says that the teacher is going to place them in alphabetical order, but we know specifically it's alphabetical order by last name because he's a Rogers, Caroline is a Robbins, so they have to sit next to each other. Therefore, we know it has to be 1 and 2. Therefore, the answer would be B. Question 2, the word drawback most nearly means. So we have drawback over here. That sitting in front of Zach was definitely a drawback because he keeps on trying to distract her by passing notes and she's trying to focus on school. Therefore, question number 2, drawback most definitely means disadvantage because it can annoy her, but disadvantage means a bad thing about it. So this is being more general, that it's just one of the bad things about it. Question 2, the author writes, unfortunately at Caroline's school, smart kids and the cool kids were not the same kids. What's meant by this statement? We're going back to find it to the text here. It says, unfortunately at Caroline's school, the smart kids and the cool kids were not the same. Because she wanted help with her schoolwork. She wanted a mix of both. She wanted to be with the cool kids, but she also wanted help with her schoolwork, so she didn't want to sit with the smart kids. We know there is no intersection between smart kids and cool kids. Therefore, if Caroline is seen as a smart kid, then she cannot also be a cool kid. The other one, it doesn't say anything about Caroline being the only one who's both, and I circled the wrong thing. I should have circled C. That if she's seen as a smart kid, no one will think she's cool. It doesn't really say anything about it being unusual because we know that from movies, stuff like that. From context, this is quite the case for most schools in media. So the solution would be C. So the next question is, which of the following would cause a similar problem for Caroline as the one described in the quotation? And this quotation is going on about having to sit next to people and how important it is, such as the smart kids and the cool kids. When we revisit the text, we see that a similar problem would be having to sit in front of Zach Rogers, who seems to be cracking jokes. He seems to be one of the cool kids, and therefore that would be a similar problem. These quotations or these solutions to do with failing a test or getting to class last. Class last is detailed as a problem. However, it's because it's to do with sitting next to people. So the more specific answer would be C rather than B or D. Next question. Caroline makes sure not to get to class too early by doing what? So over here it says this simply won't do, and it's talking about the control and getting to class late. So she took her time walking down the hall, talking to her friend Alma. Therefore, the answer would be D. Next question, how can we describe Caroline's attitude in the last paragraph? So let's focus on her attitude in the last paragraph. What actually happened? She had to sit down. The seat she wanted got taken by someone's best friend. It was a perfect seat. It was 2 seats away from Jasmine, close to some smart girls. There was someone who she had a crush on, but it was taken by his best friend. Therefore, she had to take the second best over here. And she said that she was saddened but not discouraged. So she's disappointed, but she's not giving up. Therefore, we can say she is saddened, but she's not gloomy or depressed about it. She's not going to give up. If we go back to the end of the text, it says saddened but not discouraged. She sat down in the second best seat and immediately started planning for lunchtime when she was determined to get the best seat in the cafeteria. Therefore, she was not hopeless, but she was actually firm and unyielding to the fact that she won't get the best seat. She said that she still can get the best seat in the cafeteria, therefore the solution should be C. Using that same paragraph, we can see that Caroline achieves to hope during lunchtime to get the best seat in the cafeteria. The passage quite strongly ends off with the fact that she's not discouraged by what happens in the class. She's going to lunch, so it's not her class, and she doesn't mention making new friends, and she already talked to her friend Alma. Therefore, solution A is the only one that makes sense. Question 8, how does Caroline feel about being next to Zach Rogers? We can see that Zach, in fact, has a crush on her, not the other way around, and distracts her from passing notes, bypassing notes, and cracking jokes to impress her. Therefore, it's not that he's the smartest student. In fact, he seems to be the opposite. She doesn't have a crush on him. However, we can say with direct evidence from the text that she is annoyed by his distractions in class. Question number 9, based on the passage, why does Caroline want to sit close to the cool kids but not too close? It says that she is more interested in talking rather than paying attention when she sits next to the cool kids. Therefore, she doesn't want to sit too close to them because she doesn't want to be distracted from her work. So that's solution C. What is Caroline's main concern when choosing her seat in the class? Over here, there's quite a focus on if you were the first one here, you wouldn't have any control at all. So it's quite she wants to be able to control where she's sitting in order to make sure she's got the most well-rounded experience. Therefore, the answer would be D, and that's the comprehension section. We are starting off the math section with question 11. And if we want to get the least amount of money she can pay, we're going to find the least. She wants to buy 1 food, 1 drink. So we're going to try and find the cheapest food is, it seems like, the piece of toast. And the cheapest drink is, it seems like, tea. So what we need to do, we just need to add 95 to 75. And we end up with £1.70. Well, 170p, which is equal to £1.70. So for question 2, we are going to draw a diagram, and we just need to... So over here we have a daffodil here, that's 1, gap 2, gap 3, gap 4, gap 5, gap 6, gap 7. Let's just add 1 over here just for space's sake. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 daffodils, but how many gaps do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 gaps. So if there are 7 gaps, we need to do 1.1 multiplied by 7. So be careful, they're trying to trick us with 8 daffodils, which is equal to 7.7 meters long with units. So for this, let's convert them all to the same format. We're going to convert all of them to decimals. We know 2/5 is equal to 0.4 because 1/5 is equal to 0.2. 0.2, yes, because if you convert it, 1/5 is equal to, let's just give enough space for that, is equal to 2/10. And we know 2/10 is equal to 0.2. Therefore, 2/5 is equal to 0.4. So let's make these all the same amount of decimal places. This is 4, 0. This one is a 4. Let's make that look more like a 4. And then we have to add 35% as a decimal is 0.35 because it's 35 hundredths. Let's add a decimal place. Then we need to add 0.604. So when adding all of these up, we end up with 4 here. 5 add 0, 5. 6 add 3 is 9. 9 add 4 is 13. We're going to add 1. Our answer is 1.354. What number is halfway? We're going to put this on a little number line. If you have 1.9 over here, 1.99 over here, let's convert them to the same decimal places so that it makes sense. We can convert this to look like 900 to make it easier, and this can look like 990. And what's the midway point between 990. There's a 90 difference. 90 divided by 2 is 45. So our number would be 1.945. We're going to do a similar thing over here. We're going to convert them all to the same format. 0.4 is just equal to 0.4. And then 1 quarter, you should know by now, is 0.25 as a decimal. And then 0.27 hundredths is 0.27. Now we just need to add them all together. And remember, we're going to make all of them look the same decimal amount, the amount of same decimal places. So then 5 plus 7 is 2. We're going to carry over the 1 because 5 plus 7 is 12. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. So altogether we get 0.92. We know that 51/60th, it is not in its simplest form. If we divide it by both sides by 3, we would get 17. This is equal to 17 over 20. Now we know 1/20th as a decimal. 1/20th, if we want to write it as over 100, is 5 hundredths. Because we need to multiply that denominator by 5, we need to multiply the numerator by 5. This means 1/20th as a decimal is 0.05. However, we have 1/20th, we need 17/20th. So what we need to do is we need to do 17 multiplied by 5. We need to do 17 multiplied by 0.05, which if you work that out should be 0.85. So I can see that the distance between these decimals for the next question, 4.3 minus 2.7, we have to add 1.6 this time. Let's just try and confirm that pattern this way round. 9.1 minus 7.5 is in fact 1.6. So to find out 4.3, we need to add 1.6, which should give us 5.9 as our answer. Again, for this one, we're going to draw a diagram for Gertrude the goat. It's in a rectangular pen, and I'm just giving myself some more space here. The width is 2.34 meters. However, we're going to convert them to the same units. 2.34 meters is equal to 234 centimeters. So let's write that in, 234 centimeters over here. And then the length is 340 centimeters. So we need to find the perimeter, and then we need to give our answers in meters. This is the most important part because you'll end up with a decimal. So if she walks, let's find out the perimeter once. There's multiple things. 5 times she walks around, perimeter, and then meters. So perimeter is equal to 2 times 340. 340 because we have this edge, and then we're going to add that to 2 times 234 because we have this edge and that edge, and let's figure out what that is. So this in total is equal to, perimeter is equal to 1,148 centimeters. Now we're not done because we need to multiply that by 5 over here. What do we end up with? We end up with 5,740 centimeters. But we're also not done. We need to give our answer in meters. So what does that mean in meters? If we're in centimeters, we know 100 centimeters is equal to 1 meter. To get from meters to from centimeters to meters, we have to divide by 100. We get 57.4 meters. That's our answer. So let's note down for this question what sort of information we need. We need adult, and we need the children cost. Let's put that over here, children. Let's just put child. So let's zoom out over here so we can see. So if we know we have 2 adults over here, 2 adults and 3 children, An adult ticket costs £9.50, and we know a child ticket costs £2.60. That's over here and over here. So we have £2.60. Now we need to multiply these to get, there are multiple steps by the way. How much change will they get if they pay with a £50 note? So 2 times £9.50 is equal to £19. And then 3 times £2.60, just for calculation's sake, let's do this just so we can check. We're going to, 3 times 0 is 0, 3 times 6 is 18. We're going to carry over the 1. 3 times 2 is 6, add 1 is 7. So their total cost, let's write that over here, total, is equal to 19 plus £7. Let's make that 19.0 per £7.80. Add that together, we get 0, 8.7, 9 and 7 is 16, carry over the 1, we get £26.80. However, are we done? No, we are not. We need change from £50, so we have to do £50 minus £26.80, which will give us £23.20. That's that. This is the NVR section. We're starting off with question number 1. We have some shapes here. We need to find the odd one out. And first off the bat, I noticed that the square is on the right on every single one of the shapes. So if we have the arrow pointing north, I guess, it's always on the east side of the shape. It's on the east, it's on the east, it's on the east, apart from C, where it is on the left-hand side of the shape. We'll see that over here. For number 2, we have a circle with some arrows. We always have 2 pairs of arrows, 2 pairs of arrows, 2 pairs of arrows, 2 pairs of arrows, apart from E, where we have 3 pairs of arrows. So we can see for question 3 that all these cube formations are the same, apart from we're looking at it from one side and this side is a little bit bigger, except D looks completely different from the others. These shapes are all equal, therefore it has to be D. For this one, I noticed that the triangle is always pointing towards the square, pointing towards over here, apart from D where it's pointing upwards, not towards the square. Therefore, the answer is D. For this one, all of the shapes have at least one little line inside the vertexes, one little line, one little line. Even this one has one little line. However, there are no little lines inside the shape. Therefore, it is D. Question number 26, we are going to go ahead and count the number of black squares. And here we have 4, here we have 5, we have 3, and I always write them down to make sure I'm finding a pattern. There's 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if we have 7 here, then that means I see that this one is the only one which has an even number of black diamonds, even though, and the rest have odd. Therefore, the answer would be A. For A, B, and C over here, we can see that all these lines, all these sides are parallel to each other. So there's a pair of parallel here. There's a pair of parallel here. They will never meet. There's a pair of parallel here. So I'll just denote that with this. Those are parallel, and those. Oh, actually, that is not the notation. Notation for parallel is actually the arrows, like that. So 2 and 2, so that's what I mean. So those are a pair of parallels. We have 2 pairs of parallels here and here, except we see that when you continue these, they will eventually meet, so it does not have 2 pairs of parallel sides. Therefore, D is the odd one out. You'll notice that with these shapes, they've all got a horizontal axis and a vertical axis through which there is symmetry. So they've got 2 lines of symmetry. This one and this one, we can split it this way, you can also split it that way, and it'll look the same. Same with this and same with that. The only other shape we can do that with is B. You'll see that there's a line of symmetry down the middle, this way and that way. Question number 30, let's try and find the rule here. Let's label this 1, 2, 3, and 4. Same with this, just so we can see what's going on here. And when I have these positions, these are going to be positions. What? First position, second position, third position, fourth position. And I can see that these two will do a 90 degrees clockwise to, it will do a 90 degrees clockwise rotation. And then these two, it will be a 90 degrees anti-clockwise rotation to get back to position 2. Same with this, we're going to go 90 degrees clockwise, and you'll see that it faces upwards, just like the fourth position. And then 3 will go, or rather 3 will go anti-clockwise to get to second position. So in the same sense, we're going to try and find which one. And we can see that A definitely can't work because this one is going anti-clockwise first to that one. And these ones, we can also see that between here, this one goes clockwise, but this one does not go anti-clockwise, so it can't be D. When we look at C, we can see that C is the only one where between here, we're going to go 90 degrees clockwise, and this flat edge ends up over here, just like that. And then this position in third will go anti-clockwise, and this flat bit will end up going over here. Therefore, the solution will be C. For the next question, we are trying to find the relationship in which I can see that it seems to be lines of symmetry. We have as many lines of symmetry as we do vertices. We have 3 lines of symmetry because they all seem to be regular polygons. So out of all of these, this has 4 corners, but this doesn't have 4 lines of symmetry because it's just the one, but you can't go across. The only shape that seems to be a regular polygon is C, because it has equal sides and shapes, therefore it has equal lines of symmetry. D is not a regular polygon because polygons do not have curved sides. So you can have a line of symmetry this way. It has 5 lines of symmetry and 5 vertices. The next question, we can see that always 1/2 of the shape is shaded. This one is still 1/2 because it's in quarters, and 2 quarters is still equal to 1/2. The only shape with half of it shaded is A. And you'll see that with B, C is only 1/4. D is definitely less than half because it's not at this diameter line. So it has to be A. For the next one, we see only straight lines, which means that for B and D, these are not making any polygons because they have curved edges. Then we're left with C, and we can see that none of these shapes are equal. They're not all one uniform shape. Therefore, we can cross out C and E, which have uniform shapes in them, which are left with A. For this question, we know for a fact that it can't be D because we never share any lines of the arrow. So we're going to cross that out. If you pay attention to the circles over here, you will notice that these circles, so this one there's only one, but when there's 2 circles, say I put this one on top of there, you'll never have a circle over here, then a line, then a circle. They'll never be following each other. You'll see over here that they're going in opposite directions. Again, they're never following each other. Here, they're following each other. It's going to meet the end of the arrow. However, so that can't be the case. There, they're following each other. There, they are following each other. And here is the only case where they are going in opposite directions. For the next question, we can see that this line is never at a vertex. It's always going through edges. It's never connecting any vertices. So we can cross out all of them really because they all connect at these vertices, apart from C, which doesn't do that. You can see vertex to vertex, vertex to vertex. So C is the only answer. In this one, we can see that in every shape there are 2 shapes open. 2 shapes open, 2 shapes open. You have none, only one, none, only one, and then E is the only shape open, with 2 shapes open. We are starting the verbal reasoning section. We have to try and find a relationship between words over here to make this one from this word and this word. For example, cure can be made with CU and then RE. And in the same way, we have to try and find the same word from these 2 words. So they go together in the same way. So from this one, if it's 2 from the last, so it's skip 1, those 2, skip 1, those 2, then it has to be skip 1, these 2, skip 1, these 2. So REAL makes real. If we have a second word here and finish it off with there, then we have the second one here and finish it off with there. So it should be REED, so red. We have RI here and then NG there. So SI, last one's CK, so SICK. We have sick. We have I here and then end with here and then there. So if we have to start with the second letter over here, we know we have to start with an R, so that crosses out all of them apart from D. We have E, G, G. In the same way, we know we have to start with P, so it has to be either A or B. And if we're going to, how many letters over 1, 2, 3, 4, then it has to be 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So pin. Or rather, that doesn't work. It's just 2 off the end, 2 off the end. So PI, you know it has to be PI, so you can do pin. We know we have to start with A and then G. So if you have to start with the next letter, it has to, sorry, the first letter of the second word, then we have to start with H, which gives us E. We have to start with NA, which means we have to start with SE. The only one that starts with SE is A. It looks like this one, we can't make anything else. It looks like just the first letter seen here. We can see the first word seen here is rat. However, we also have a second word we can make here. There are 2 answers for this one. If we start off with this and end with the next 2, then if we start off with H and then end with the next 2, we get HAT, which also does give us the answer hat. So we have here, for the word codes, we know that if there are 2 numbers in common, there are 2 letters in common, and the only ones that corresponds to is magic and micro. And we know that 8 is second twice. So we know that the only letter that's second twice is A. So we know 8 is equal to A. A is equal to 8. And we also know that M is equal to 3. Therefore, the code for the missing word has to end in 8-3, and if it has to end in 8-3, oh, we actually said here that M was 6 because there's 2 6s. So it has to end with 8-6. I'll write that down here, 8-6. Therefore, the only one that ends in 8-6 is B, and we see that over here. So we have to continue finding our other letters because we haven't found 3, 5, 6, 3, 5, 9, or 1. So if we have R, we know is 3, so we know it has to start with R, so then we have A as the answer.